Good morning. It is Thursday, October 13th, 2022, and a little late this morning producing this video because I kind of had to scramble a bit. We had a huge move down after the CPI numbers at 8:30 Eastern, and had to go back quite a ways. I had to pull in all the data again and go back and go through and put these inflection points on there because they are proving to be important. However, it was a little bit difficult to get done in time because again I had the numbers at 8:30 and this just takes a while. So some of these are naked or were naked and some of them aren't. It's kind of difficult to pull all that in and see which ones are, and which I have to go mainly by the daily bars. Let me pull this in here. So we're looking, you can see how far we gap down, this massive gap down. So like this is, let's see, I believe it's 79 is the low. Well, I have it scrunched together, so it's hard to like get right on it there. Yeah, 79, and then we're way down here, so it's like 50 some points, I think. So I go back over to these profiles, and I'm looking for inflection points. There's some overlap, there's some things that are naked, but even if there have been traded through again in subsequent days, I went ahead and just, it doesn't hurt to have them on there, right? I'm not trading just off a line, you know, and that can work, but you know, there's a lot more to it. You know, that line may be, that price, that area may be irrelevant now, you know, but you can tell what's happening, and you have a feel. So there's a lot of things at play here, but I went down and marked this out. You know, should I go down here and start marking these out so I'm prepared for next week? I don't know. You know, that's a lot of work. Well, maybe not. There's a lot that is just open right here on the edge. And I wouldn't want to go all the way back in here because that's already been traded through a bunch, and it will be reflected in the more updated trade. All right, well, that being said, and you can tell I'm in no hurry, right? I'm in no hurry. We already have a let me just get to the scenarios. One of them is already playing out so far. What hasn't happened is continuation. Okay, I'm going to pull in the thing here. So the first thing that I was looking for this morning is the prairie dog, the overnight low, a move to rotate in the lower volume distribution or higher. So what does that mean? All right, so let's look at this. We had this huge move down, and we've got this volume distribution right here. Well, let me just you know, all the way from here to here. Now it's interesting, the tempo is kind of slow, but that may be expected. You know, there were people, 8:30 is not that early, 7:30 Central. People were waiting for that news. Major players and things like that were looking for that news to position themselves or readjust inventory or whatever they do. I've never worked with them, but either way, the market now is digesting, right? So we've got this volume distribution, a nice trade, which I was, I would have not been able to make this video if I would have been wanting to trade this. I kind of felt it might be better to wait because I feel like I'd be flying blind without putting these things on there, okay? And I also, patience and waiting for, there's plenty of time in the day, right? And as you can see, there might even be a move back down to confirm we're getting volume and acceptance back into here. Now, clearly, the idea for today is that value the perception of value has changed. We've come out of a sort of a balancing to down area. Yesterday was balancing, and we've had a big move down, right? So I've got all these inflection points. You know, again, this is something that you may think is irrelevant. I felt that way before, and I've found it's not true. And I went back and I did the homework, you know. And some of this stuff has been traded through on the downside. Some of it's new. So anything past 11.13 is, like this was 11.23. Well, I put this on there the other day. These were inflection points to the downside that we just blasted through this morning. So now what happens? Well, support becomes resistance potentially. So we'll see what happens. Excuse me. And also, these are ways to measure the strength of a move. So we just came through this value area high on 10.10. Looks like it's hanging up here just slightly. Will it hold? It's porous so far. perhaps against this double wide and this value area high at 1110 and this volume shoulder. This might be an area to get long if one wants to, anticipate a closing of the gap. I don't know. Either way, so let's move on to the other ideas. All right. So we're just talking about rotating within the pre-market drive down. So I'm talking about rotation all the way up, including the prior day's low, meaning we could rotate all the way back up there, get rejected, and rotate around and maybe have a P-shape profile from today, from the lows of today, so the lows from A period so far. And how big would that rotation be? Or will it just be a small range and rotate in this just exactly in this volume distribution? Now, that's the immediate volume distribution. There was volume in places on the, there's places along the way. We could even call it from all the way up here, just all the way up to the prior low a day, really, in this lower, okay, better way to put it, we need to look at this move as a spike down, almost like a late day spike. Are we getting acceptance in that spike, which would bode well for lower prices? Or are we going to close that to the base and but not get back into range? All right, so which brings us into another story, because that could happen. So what hasn't happened so far and may not happen, we've got a gap down greater than 10 points, take out the overnight low and continue. And if that's the case, which hasn't happened yet, it still could happen, we want to look for longs or exits from shorts and inflection points below. Because otherwise you're in white space if you believe that that's the case. Because obviously the other contracts are expired, but people have held positions, rollover from, that's what rollover is, right? So what I have done, I didn't spend a lot of time on deal conditions. Obviously, if it's continuation, you want strong market internals to the negative side. And one thing to look for is one-time framing. That would be very helpful. And the next thing would be to close the gap. So that's sort of something to anticipate. It's a long way to go, but you want to get long against inflection points, which is one reason these are on there. And hopefully one-time frame to the upside until the gap close. And again, you would want to see strong market internals that are positive or leaning positive, and hopefully get one-time framing to carry your trade quite a ways. So it may take a while, right? And the way it's going right now, it looks like a short covering rally at the moment, but it's a slow grind, right? And those are very easy to start to pick a top and then get run over. And it's just very deceptive. It seems like it's stalled out, and then it'll make a quick move like it just did there. It'll stall out, it'll come back, and then it'll just go in fits and starts, right? So this is a ways away, but if we re-enter yesterday's range, of course this would mean that we close the gap first. We want to find acceptance. So if it pops in there, hey, you could pop in and just keep going, right? And you might miss out, but so what, right? You want to see it finding acceptance, building some volume, holding at the prior day's low, and maybe you might pop out and you get long, anticipating it moving back in, because there's a lot of faking out. Get long against the prior day's low or other inflection points, value area low, whatever you fancy. And but I will say this is a bit of speculation, of course. It will probably find balance if it gets into yesterday's range. So look for exits and reloads, meaning right now, if you want to, if one was to want to have a trend type of a trade that you carry for a couple hours, this would be the time to get on it, in my opinion. Once we get back in the balance, we've already had a huge range and a relatively decent range for the day. And how much further is it going to go? There's a lot of things, traffic it may run into. We're going to look for some traffic up here. Start looking for exits and reloads, and maybe taking some shorter term trades in there, because again, you'll be back in balance and range, right? All right, that's today, and we'll see what happens. Make a great day. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. If you've spent the time watching it, I appreciate that. You could be doing a lot of other things. Thank you.